once again. I hope you enjoyed the previous lecture on chemistry, that was chemical reaction and equation. Today we are going to start with one biology chapter and very interesting chapter, chapter 7, control and coordination. I will also put forward the video for the previous biology chapter, that is life processes. In that chapter you will study that whatever life process is needed, means whatever the process to live is needed has different departments in our body. If our body has several organs and organ systems, then each of that organ or organ system is related with some of the functions. Like we have full digestive system, which is only working for the digestion of food. We have excretory system, which is functioning for the excretion of waste material. Similarly, we have respiratory system, we have transportation system. We have all these systems which are associated with some or the other work which are important for life. Yes, they are our day-to-day work. We eat every day, we excrete every day, we need transportation every day, we breathe every day. So there are the works important for day-to-day daily activities. Now the question arises is, if these things happen in our body, who controls them? Some of the functions are in our control, like if you want to slap your friend, means it is under your control. You can control it, whether to slap or not. If it is too mischievous and done so much mischiefs with you, then you can slap it. But you can control that activity. But some of the activities like beating of your heart, can you control it? No. You can stop it for a while, but you will then urge again to breathe. You can stop your breath for a while, but then you will urge again to breathe and it will start unconscious breathing or unconscious beating of your heart. So there are two types of movement, broadly classification of movements, that is voluntary movement and involuntary movement. All the involuntary movements which are not under your control are controlled and coordinated by the nervous system, or also known as control system of our body. Even the voluntary movement which you do is also controlled by it, but involuntary movements are completely controlled by the nervous system or the control system of the body. Whether it be human beings, whether it be cow, buffalo, whether it be plants, all of them have a control system in their body which control all the activities that they perform in their day-to-day life. Whether the cow is chewing the food, or the children are enjoying their swing, or the plant is rising due to sun, all these movements are very much controlled by a control system. And we are going to study in detail the control and coordination. Only control is not needed. If I say all of you sit straight, means I am controlling you. I also have to coordinate you with other children. I have to manage system. So the management of the body occurs with the help of this control and coordination system present in our body. So chapter 7, control and coordination, deals with nervous system in animals. As per our syllabus, that is 70% included syllabus, as shown. So as we have already seen, we have to study control and coordination only in plants this time. Only in animals this time. The plants part is omitted in the 70% syllabus. So now studying in details about animal nervous system or animal control and coordination. Specifically in animals, we will study humans more, and humans firstly I can say. The control and coordination in any animal or in human is done by several set of organs. Organs are made up of tissues. So specifically when we talk about tissues, the control and coordination is done by the nervous tissue and muscular tissue together. So first we will study about a unit of nervous tissue, that is a neuron or a nerve cell. As any of the organ will have a unit which will be any specific cell, same way the control and coordination is performed by nervous tissue and muscular tissue, in which we are going to study the unit of nervous tissue, that is nerve cell, or also known as neuron. First of all, looking at the structure of neuron. Okay, before looking at the structure of neuron, where are these neurons or where are nervous tissues or nervous cells present? Nervous cells and nervous tissues are present on all the 6 sense organs, all the 6 sensory sides of our body. Our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, these all are the sensory organs present, and all of them contain the nervous tissue or neurons at their tip. Whether it be skin, there will be receptors. They are known as receptors. They get some senses or they get some signals. They get some triggers. So they are known as receptors. Whether it be skin, it will be thermoreceptor. If it is eye, it will be optic receptor. If it is tongue, it will be gustatory receptor. Similarly, all the organs, auditory receptor in ears, all the organs, the sense organs have receptors which get the signal. If you are touching somebody, how do they come to know that you have touched them? They get the signal from the thigmoreceptor of the skin that somebody has touched. If you eat something delicious, how do you come to know? The taste buds contain the receptors which will say that yes, you have eaten something. If you see something good, then the optic receptors will say. Same way they get signals. And now, how are these signals transported? What happens to the signals is what we are going to study. So first of all, studying the structure of the nerve cell. Nerve cell is the longest cell in human body. Nerve cell is the longest cell in the human body. It consists of hair-like dendrites. These are known as dendrites. It consists of a center nucleus. Nucleus is present in all cells. It consists of a nucleus. It consists of a cell body. The space in between is known as cell body. Dendrites, nucleus, cell body. The middle portion is known as axon. A-X-O-N. The middle portion is known as axon, and the end tips are known as end part or nerve ending. The end tips are known as nerve ending. So this is how the structure of a neuron looks. It has a nucleus, a cell body, dendrites, axon, and nerve ending. 5 parts of cell, the nerve cell. Okay. Now, when we touch something, or when you see something, or when you hear something, what happens is the signals from the surrounding. Let us say this is the surrounding. The signals are coming from here. Yes, the signals from the surrounding are received by the dendrite. The dendrite, which are hair-like, will receive the signal. Very important question. Dendrites receive signals. The dendrites of the nerve cell receive signals. Now these signals will then pass to the axon, to the nerve ending. So the pathway goes like dendrites to, yes, in between there is cell body, to axon, to the nerve ending. This is how the signals that you have received from the surrounding passes inside the nerve cell. It is received by the dendrite, then it goes to the cell body, then to the axon, and at last to the nerve ending. Through the receptors, the signals come and they pass inside the nervous cells. A tissue of nervous tissue is made up of many cells. So this process occurs in every cell. Now the question is, how is nervous tissue correlated or coordinating with the muscular tissue? Let us take an example that your friend is calling you. Hey, he is calling you, then he is tapping your hand. Then how will you come to know that somebody has tap on my hand? Yes, that is what we come to know when we study together nervous tissue and muscular tissue. Now, let us say that we have a muscle cell. Yes, this is a muscle cell and somebody has touched you, means your receptors have awakened and you have received some signals on your skin, means on your thigmoreceptors. The nerves will come and they will end over here like this. The nerve ending will come in contact with the muscular cell, the muscular tissue. This connection or this contact is known as synapse formation. Very important. The connection or the contact between nervous tissue and muscular tissue is known as synapse formation. Now when the synapse is formed, what happens in further is, we have studied that signals come from the surrounding. Now how are the signals? The signals may be electrical, they may be chemical. Mostly electrical signals come and then they get converted into chemical signals. Let us see how. This is a muscular tissue or a muscular cell, and a nerve ending has come and ended over here. So this is the synapse site, the synapse formation. Now here this nerve contains signals. This nerve ending contains signals, let us say in the form of electricity, in the form of electrons. These electrons will get converted into protons and ions, and protons and electrons that are ions, and they will get transmitted to the muscular tissue or the muscular cell. This is how signal transmission occurs. The signals from nervous tissue goes to the muscular tissue. How does the muscular tissue function? That is a complete different concept, but the signals have come from the surrounding in the form of electricity or in the form of chemicals. They have transported through dendrites to cell body, to axon, and to the nerve ending. This nerve ending will come in contact with the muscular tissue or the muscular cell, which will form a synapse, that is connection between nervous tissue and muscular tissue. This synapse formation will have transmission or transport of signals between nervous tissue and muscular tissue. So you will come to know that yes, somebody is tapping me, somebody is calling me, because your receptors have received those signals, and you will talk to him or you will take your hand and you will respond to that signals. So this is what happens in receiving the signals and knowing that yes, something has happened. So we saw what was neuron, what is nervous cell, nervous tissue, and how it coordinates with the muscular cells and muscular tissues. Now if we talk about neuromuscular system present in our body, or only the neural system, neurosystem, coordination system present in our body, then it can be broadly classified into two types. The nervous system is classified into two types: CNS, the central nervous system, and PNS, the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, the C, central, stands for the center of our body. What does it include? CNS includes brain, yes, as it is in the center, the brain and the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord, which is present in the center of our body, is present in CNS, central nervous system. And the second one is PNS, that is peripheral nervous system. Periphery means the sides, the edges. So all the spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. Spinal nerves means the nerves arising from the spinal cord, and the cranial nerves means the nerves arising from the brain are present in PNS, peripheral nervous system. So nervous system is broadly classified into two types: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves arising from brain and spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. Is that clear till here? Okay. A very important phenomenon now we are going to discuss is reflex action, or also known as reflex arc. Yes, first of all, let us understand the meaning. What is reflex action? What is reflex arc? Okay, whenever you touch somebody or somebody touches you, you don't respond like, oh, what happened? No. We wait for a while, we recognize the stimulus, we give the message to the brain that somebody is calling us, and then we respond to them or we react to them. But in certain conditions, like if you are touching something which is giving you pain, if you touch a thorn, if you touch some hot plate or hot bowl filled with water, then you immediately take away your hand. And this immediate reaction that occurs is known as reflex reaction, or that action is known as reflex action. Whenever you touch something which gives you pain, which is not suitable for your body, you immediately react to it, you immediately respond to it, and that action or that response is known as reflex action. Now, very important thing to remember in reflex action is it is totally controlled by spinal cord. Reflex action is totally controlled by spinal cord. There is no function of brain in reflex action. Very important, and questions are asked that reflex action is controlled by spinal cord. There is no function of brain in reflex action. And why so? Because transmission of signals to brain might take seconds. Till what? Your hand will be burnt. So, to avoid that condition, spinal cord gives a immediate signal and you take away your hand from the things or the objects that give you pain. Okay, now studying in detail the zoomed view of what actually happens in reflex action. Okay, let us assume that this is your hand. Avoid or neglect my diagrams, please. Let us assume that this is your hand and you are touching something that is very hot. Now, what will be your response? You need to take away your hand very immediately. So, this is the object which is going to give you pain. This is your hand, means your hand has skin, and the skin have receptors. We already studied, they have thigmoreceptors. So, receptors in the skin will detect. Receptors in the skin will detect that something hot is being touched. These receptors will give signals to the sensory neurons. Very important. Detectors or the receptors will detect and give signals to the sensory neurons. Sensory neurons transmit message to from receptor to spinal cord. It is going to the spinal cord, as you can see. Yes, this is the spinal cord part. The spinal cord will give an immediate message to the relay neuron. We have played relay race when we were doing our sports day. What we do is we have to pass the stick to somebody and he or she will run further. Same way, the signals are transmitted to the spinal cord, and spinal cord will give an immediate, very fast response to the relay neuron. That relay neuron is the conjunction between sensory neuron and motor neuron. Relay neuron is the conjunction between sensory neuron and motor neuron. It will give the message given by the spinal cord to the motor neuron. Now, what is the function of motor neuron? Motor neuron brings the message from spinal cord. Sensory neuron gives message to the spinal cord. Motor neuron brings message from the spinal cord via relay neuron. These are the parts of neuron. Motor neuron will give the message to the muscles. Now, what are these muscles? They are named as effectors. Very good and interesting and understanding name. Effectors means whatever order is given is put in effect by the muscles. Because if muscles will move, then only your hand will move from the plate, the hot bowl, the hot plate. So this effector present in the muscle means the muscles, not anything else, the muscles. Muscles are the effectors. These effectors will detect the signals given by motor neuron and immediately take away your hand from the plate. Yes, very interesting. There are few terms which are hard, but you will understand it. See once again, if you touch something hot or which gives you pain, the receptors will detect it. In skin they are thigmoreceptors. It will give message to the sensory neuron. The sensory neuron will give message to the spinal cord. The spinal cord will give immediate response to the relay neuron. The relay neuron will give the message to the motor neuron, and the motor neuron will tell the effector, the muscle, to take away your hand, and immediately you will take away your hand. This is the pathway of the reflex action, the reflex arc. If it is asked for 3 to 4 marks, you have to elaborate all this and draw the diagram as well. Now, why is brain not involved in this process? Because we can say that from here, the message may also go to the brain, and the brain will also respond. Brain will also say that take away your hand, but it will take seconds or minutes to respond, till which your hand will be burned. So to avoid all this, the spinal cord takes the charge and says, do what I say. And this is what happens in reflex action or reflex arc. So we have already now dealt with reflex action, reflex arc. We now know that our body consists of a nervous system, which is divided into main 2 parts, central nervous system and a peripheral nervous system. Now we are going to take a very important organ of our body and very important part of the chapter, that is human brain. We already saw that central nervous system consists of main 2 organs of the body, the human brain and the spinal cord. We think, right? Sometimes we say, I am thinking, let us think, etc., etc. This thinking is a very complex process. It is associated with the surrounding. It is associated with your body structure. What is your inside body phenomena right now? Where are you? What are your surroundings? All these things affect your thinking process. This thinking process is done by human brain. Let us study it in detail with some parts of it. Mainly, human brain is divided into 3 main parts. First one is the forebrain. Second one is the midbrain and the hindbrain. Forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. Let us talk about the forebrain first. The forebrain is the part which is farther, means in the front part of the brain is known as forebrain. Forebrain is the main thinking part of our body. It is the main thinking part of the brain. It consists of sensory parts. We have already seen sensory organs and sensory parts. The skin, the eyes, the tongue, the ears, etc. All the areas in the brain. If you are seeing and the brain is also knowing it. So which part of the brain is knowing it? The forebrain of the brain. It controls all the voluntary movements. We already saw what are voluntary and involuntary movements. If you want to slap your friend, it is a voluntary movement. You know whether to do it or not. You can control it. So the activities which you can control is forebrain. Then sensation of hunger or feeling full. You have eaten a lot. Now you are not feeling hungry. How did you come to know? Because the forebrain gave you the signal. Or you are feeling hungry. How did you come to know? Because the forebrain gave you the signal. So four most important parts of the forebrain. Main thinking part contains sensory parts, controls voluntary movements, and has sensation of hunger or feeling full. These are the four functions of the forebrain. Now when we go to the midbrain, means the brain in the middle, the midbrain. Midbrain consists of areas for involuntary action. The actions which are not in your control. You cannot tell your stomach that digestion should occur in between 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock only because I am free at that time. No. All the involuntary functions are controlled by the midbrain. Then comes the hindbrain. Hindbrain consists of pons, here, cerebellum, a tree-like structure, cerebellum, and medulla, the end, tail-like structure of the brain is medulla. So the hindbrain consists of pons, cerebellum, and medulla. The hindbrain also control centers for involuntary actions like BP, blood pressure, hunger, also heartbeat, vomiting, salivation. If you say something very delicious, tasty, you salivate, you vomit at times. BP, hunger and heartbeat is not mentioned in your textbook, so we will keep it as BP, vomiting and salivation. Hindbrain has centers for involuntary actions like BP, blood pressure, vomit and salivation. When it comes to other parts like specifically cerebellum, the cerebellum of the hindbrain has parts for the centers like for maintaining balance and posture of your body. If I can stand straight right now because my cerebellum is working. If I am drunk and I am not able to stand, then my cerebellum is not working. So cerebellum consists of parts which maintain and balance the posture of the body. Which is left out? We have cerebrum, we have a skull, we have midbrain, hindbrain consisting pons, cerebellum and medulla. Do not get confused between cerebellum and cerebrum. It is cerebrum. This is cerebellum. We have spinal cord. After brain, directly there will be spinal cord. We have pituitary glands. We will study glands when we study human hormones. We have pituitary gland and also hypothalamus. This is also a gland. Two glands are present in our brain. So they are hypothalamus and pituitary gland. We have forebrain and this is the human brain structure. Now the question is asked that what is the function of skull and what if the skull is not present? So the skull consists of fluid inside this part, which is double membrane. It consists of fluid. That fluid helps to absorb the shock that happens in your brain. The shock like, not the electrical shock, the mental shock. If somebody in your family very close to you has died, then someone will come to inform you, and if that gives you so much of shock which your brain does not accept, then you may also have brain failure or any disease like that. So to absorb the shocks, the mental shocks, the skull has the fluid, and if this fluid is not present or the skull is not present, then they may injure the brain. The shocks will not be absorbed. There may be mental or mechanical injury inside the brain. So this is what human brain in standard 10th consists of. You may take the screenshot of it. When it is asked, you have to explain all these parts, you have to draw the diagram, and then it is a complete answer for 3 to 4 marks. Okay, you can take the screenshot. It is very precisely drawn and explained. Okay, so till now we have studied chapter 7, control and coordination. We first studied the unit of nervous tissue, the nerve cell. Then we studied the reflex arc. Then we studied human brain, and we have already learned how is control of body happening. Now one more very important and present in very less amount in our body, very important thing is hormones. So we are going to study human hormones in detail. Yes, the plant part is omitted, so we don't have to study anything about plants. So we will be studying human hormones in very detail. Now before going into it, what are hormones and from where are they coming, or what is all that things that we are going to discuss? Hormones are chemicals present inside the body, and they are needed in very precise quantity, very less amount. So hormones are needed in very less amounts. Now there are list of 6 organs in our body which secrete 6 different type of hormones, and they have 6 different functions. So we will go step by step and study each of them in detail quickly. So first is adrenal gland. Where is it located? We will study the location and its everything, right? So adrenal gland is above kidneys. They are located, if this is a kidney, here is the adrenal gland present. They are located above kidney. What do they secrete? They secrete a hormone named adrenaline. Yes, it is also known as epinephrine and non-epinephrine, also known as adrenaline and non-adrenaline. 2 hormones, adrenaline and non-adrenaline. What are their functions? Very important, you can say 3F, a short form: flight, fight or fright situations. You are in a jungle and a lion comes. Now you are frightened, you want to fly away, you want to run away. During that situation, the adrenaline functions. What does it do? It will increase your breathing rate. BR is breathing rate. You will breathe faster. And it will decrease your hunger. You will not feel to eat. This also happens when you have told some lies to your parents and your parents catch you out that you are at the friend's place and not in the tuition. So that happens. Your breathing rate increases. You don't feel to eat. You either flight, means you either run away, you either fight, means you start to fight, or either you get frightened, either you become frightened of the situation. So this situation is dealt with adrenaline and non-adrenaline hormone secreted by the adrenal gland which is present above the kidney. I hope this is very clear. The second one is thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is present in the neck region. The thyroid gland is present in the neck region which secretes the hormone thyroxine. Its function is carbohydrate, protein and fat metabolism. Means whatever you are eating, you should get energy from it, and that is the function of thyroxine hormone. It metabolizes carbohydrate, protein and fat. Now iodine is a substance you must have heard in salt advertised. Iodine present hai ya nahi, etc. So iodine is a substance which is essential for production of thyroxine. If iodine is not present in efficient amount, the thyroxine will not be produced, and if it is present in less amount, if iodine is present in less amount, you can have a disease that is goiter, that is bulging of neck. Bulging of neck. The neck becomes swollen due to less amount of iodine present and absence of production of thyroxine. So thyroid gland present in the region of neck produces thyroxine, which is initiated by iodine, and its function is metabolism of carbohydrate, fat and lipids or proteins. Fats are also known as lipids. So the third organ is pituitary gland. When we studied brain, I had denoted you that pituitary is present in brain region. Pituitary gland is present in brain region, which secretes GH, also known as growth hormone, which increases your height. Yes, increases the growth. If it is present in more amount, then giantism may occur, means too much of height. Somebody like Khalil having more than needed height, and if it is produced in less amount, then dwarfism may occur, means too less height. Somebody with you looking like studying in nursery. He is in 12th but he looks like studying in nursery. So dwarfism or giantism, two things may happen if growth hormones are not secreted appropriately. It usually secretes in childhood because your height increases during childhood. It has no function after certain time, certain age. So this is about pituitary gland. The next is testes present only in males. Testes present only in males. Testes secretes testosterone hormone, which regulates secondary sexual development of a boy, of a male, like mustache, beards, thick voice, etc. All these things are controlled by testosterone, sex hormone released by testes. It is present in the abdominal region. It is present in the abdominal region. The next is ovaries present only in female, also in abdominal region. Yes, female abdominal region, which secretes two hormones, progesterone and estrogen. Progesterone and estrogen. The function is same as that in males. It controls secondary sexual development in females, like thinning of voice, maintenance of menstrual cycle in females. All this is controlled by progesterone and estrogen secreted by ovary. The last one is pancreas present in digestive system. Present in digestive system of body, which secretes insulin. It secretes insulin, which regulates the blood sugar level. You know about diabetes. Yes, very well known, means heard out disease, that is diabetes. Diabetes occurs because of less secretion of insulin. If there is less secretion of insulin, the sugar level in the body will increase, which will lead to the disease known as diabetes. So these are the 6 organs that are glands. The organs secreting hormones are known as glands, and this is endocrine gland. Endocrine gland because it secretes hormones directly inside the blood. They do not have tubes or ducts. They secrete hormones directly inside the blood, so they are known as endocrine glands. There are 6 endocrine glands as mentioned, and their locations also. They secrete 6 hormones in which they have 6 different functions, and if they are secreted in less or more amount, the effects are as discussed. One more thing important to learn about hormones is it works on a feedback mechanism, very well known mechanism, that is feedback mechanism. If I am teaching you and if you write down in your comment box that XYZ topic was not very well taught, then what I will do is I will look forward for the making of new video and I upload it, in which you will get more clear idea of it. So you gave me feedback and I have followed it and I have shown the changes. The same concept applies in hormones also. If there is less secretion of insulin, the blood sugar level will increase, which will be shown in your body. Something diabetic will happen, and again the sugar level will decrease if insulin starts to secrete more by the feedback of your body. So this is how the hormones work, by feedback mechanism. You can take the screenshot of it as it is properly, precisely point by point mentioned. Okay, so Chapter 7, Control and Coordination, comes to an end over here. The 70% included syllabus as per the board is as we have quickly revised it. I hope so you enjoyed this video and you are looking forward for more such videos. If you have not subscribed, please go and subscribe the channel. Please like the video and share it to the maximum of your friends so maximum of them can be benefited. Thank you. Thank you a lot.